Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Right now, let's talk Ghana football. I'm going to talk about the Ghana Football Association. I've got my mobile phone here already. Send your text, your WhatsApp messages to who I'm going to talk to. Now, he is a former vice president of the Ghana Football Association and a board member of the Accra Great Olympics. He was chastised and forced out of office allegedly because he stood for the truth. Well, we'll find out whether or not that is indeed the case. He's one of the aspirants for the Ghana Football Association's top position and believes he can turn things around if voted as the GFA president. His name is Fred Pappoe, affectionately called by his peers Papsi. He is actually won the support of a number of people, all of which we'll be talking about. Mr. Pappoe, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing? I'm good.
I'm super.
All right. How is the campaign going?
It's going quite well. I would say it's just going according to plan.
Okay.
And far better than expected.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, by way of the strategy we mapped out. So far, so good.
So what's the strategy?
It's quite a lot. I think there are different levels. For example, we have one-on-one campaigns. Okay. We have the media campaigns too. And then we have targeted endorsement. And then also another aspect would be to put yourself in the listening mode. Okay. Because I cannot start by professing that I know everything. Yeah. And then there are people out there with quite deep and knowledgeable ideas about football that one would just have to expose himself to and then give them the chance to really ventilate whatever ideas they have. And that aspect has gone extremely well, and to quite an extent it's shaped my vision and the way I want to go about things in terms of the message I'm throwing out to the public.
You're throwing out there. Well, so what we do here is that when your competitors as well have come on the show, we talk about the message. We scrutinize the message and we scrutinize the plan. So I asked my viewers to send. So we put a number there. There you have it. Our WhatsApp number. That's 0505646330. That's 0505646330. Send in your questions. You have a question you want Mr. Pappoe to answer, send in that question. You have thoughts, you want to wish him well, send in all of those thoughts. Make sure you do it before you finish the conversation so I can read it and get him to respond if there is any. So, Mr. Pappoe, what we do is that we ask people to send in their comment, but I also essentially have a format where you tell us what you think the problems of the GFA really is, and what plans you have and how those plans fix the problem. So yeah, let's start with first of all, who is Mr. Pappoe, briefly? Okay,
I think to quite an extent you captured a bit of Mr. Pappoe. That I was a former, Mr. Pappoe is a professional development planner who has I work as a business advisor currently, and then also I've been in football for quite some time now. And one of the functions that I performed in football in my very active days was to serve as the vice president of the Ghana Football Association over the period 2005 to 2011. During that same period too, I was the chairman of the Black Stars Management Committee, and I would say with quite great pride and also with all humility that the glory years of the Black Stars, I would say, took place. At least part of it was during my tenure as the chairman of the Black Stars Management Committee. Our first entry to the World Cup, I believe, was a solid effort of teamwork amongst us in terms of leadership. 2010 we repeated and then we excelled. These were all actually appearances that led to a lot of recognition. I believe every member of the squad for those two occasions were awarded with a state medal, order of the Grand Medal Civil Division for all of us.
I see.
Yeah, so I can proudly say we got it on 2 occasions, so we're talking about decorated experience here. Having done that, I think I also served briefly for some time as the chairman of the local Blasters management team, during which period we also made 2 final berths in Cote d'Ivoire 2009 and then in South Africa 2014. It's been quite an interesting period, I would say, working as on the FA and then as a vice president for a greater spell of a period of time. That was when our president, Mr. Nyantechi, got quite a lot of appointments and activities at CAF and FIFA. So for quite a greater length of time, I was the acting president, so to say. So definitely, I'll say in brief, it's been a very fulfilling period at the Home of Affairs, and then I took a bit of a backstage to concentrate on club football and then other very interesting and less tense aspects of football, juvenile football, coast football, and then football for deprived and disadvantaged children. So that, yeah.
All right. Well, We'll get some more questions, and I would like for us to look into this term of office, which you tell so well. But tell us, from your perspective, what are the problems of the Ghana Football Association?
Presently?
Yeah.
Well, I think basically you did indicate the problems and the plans, and I would want to identify one core problem, and all other problems, or most of the other problems.
If you can put them all together, and let's say 5 or 3
I'll do that.
Points.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem. Even if there are 5 or 3, there's a fundamental problem which creates other problems. So I'll explain
Tell
that.
us.
The core problem, I believe, is that we have a brand which has been damaged. The brand Ghana Football has been bruised and battered, and nobody wants to associate his or herself with the brand, as well as no corporate citizen or no corporate organization wants to be part of such a brand. And from that, we have a lot of other problems emanating. For example, low patronage of our matches. We're talking about low sponsorship, because corporate Ghana or international corporate world does not want to associate itself with a brand which has been tarnished. We're talking about matches that are played without credibility, to the extent that results of matches are predetermined through the unfortunate or inglorious acts of certain actors or key actors. You know, we have violence at our stadiums sometimes, hooliganism and the rest. These are all things that stem or roll out from the core problem I was talking about. You know, we're talking about low salaries of players. Why do we have low salaries of players? Because sponsorship is not coming. Why are we not getting sponsorship? It's because our brand is not attractive enough. You know, so at the heart of all our problems is the brand. That's why the focus of my message, I'm sure we'll get there later, but the focus of my message is to attack that core problem.
Okay,
yeah.
So you sort of put the problems together as one. You say it really lies on the brand, which is for you damaged, perhaps severely damaged.
Exactly.
So you talk about how there's low sponsorship because of the damaged brand. You talk about lack of credibility. You talk about violence at the stadia, low salaries as well. What then is your plan to deal with these problems?
Good. I think what we have to do first and foremost is to engender confidence of the Ghanaian public in the Ghana Football Association. We would have to take a second look at our governance practices. What are the principles that we stand for, or what are the principles that we tell the outside world that we are portraying? We have to look at principles of accountability, transparency, fairness, level playing field, equity, and all those kind of very interesting principles, and we must fight for it. We just don't have to say it like I'm sitting here and like, I'm not on a political platform just campaigning and throwing words out there.
Well, which is what I'm coming to, because it's very nice to say it, and we do that a lot here in this country, where we talk about the problems over and over again. But most of the time, people are not really spending time with the solutions. So your plan for the GFA must encompass the solutions that we need to fix the problems you've enumerated.
If my plans do not encompass solutions, then I don't have any business.
So share with us so that you convince the viewers that they should vote for you.
Quite a lot. For example, fortunately, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we went to Congress to accept a new body of statutes. In there are very clear clauses that provide or ensure accountability and transparency.
Okay.
If I'm voted into office, together with my executive council, would make sure we are guided strictly by those standards or those norms in our rules and regulations, even as a minimum. For example, there's a requirement that we would have to present audited reports annually to the public or in the national dailies. We would have to abide by that. Okay. And then also we would create other platforms where there will be regular interchange of ideas from the media and the general public. We will institute quite a number of measures. For example, meet your councillors. That's the executive council. I keep saying we, because I don't want to personalize it as Fred Pappoe running an agenda. You know, so twice a year or so, we can create a platform where Ghanaians will get a chance to meet. It's like a town hall kind of agenda. Okay. Then on a regular daily basis, we would have to run a very functional social media hub at the FA, where people can throw in questions and then seek answers, because in the absence of information, we have rumors breeding and then there's mistrust, and then the brand gets eroded the more, because rumors fester, and then people are able to say things which cannot be substantiated. For example, in your roll-up of, you said I was, is it chastised and chased out of office or so? It's not true.
It's not true.
No. I didn't contest when my term came to an end. As a matter of fact,
but the point was that there were, you know, there were certain undertones, and we'll talk about the mafia because it's part. It's part.
there were undertones, but I just wanted corrected as if I wasn't chased out of. As a matter of fact, to date, I remain the only vice president in the regime from 2005 to 2018 who served his full term.
And left.
Yes, I served to the end of my term, and then I left. I came for re-election. I wasn't successful. But then, even then, I stayed on as an executive committee member, stayed the full term. That executive committee was not dissolved. It ran its full life, and then I left.
Very well.
You know, so I wasn't chased out of office. So maybe you can correct that.
Very well. Well, perhaps the idea is that
I do get where they are coming from. There were some undercurrents and
yes, exactly.
Some discomfort
here and there. Which is something that
we
will hopefully talk about before the time runs out on us as well. But one of the key things that your competitors who have come here on the show have talked about is they've actually mentioned branding, but they've also talked about how we can make Ghanaian football, local football, attractive. We know that there is a strong base of support for football, so people are chasing after the attractive football games. They're chasing after the Premier Leagues. They're chasing after Spanish La Liga, etc. What is Mr. Pappoe's plan to make this dream of the local, you know, league being international as we see out there?
Making our local league attractive.
Attractive.
It's simple. The problem actually is that there's a disconnect between our football and the community. Our communities do not recognize us. They are no fan of us. It's to the extent that even when the Black Stars is playing a match in Kumasi or Accra or wherever it is, you literally struggle to. You can easily count the number of fans at the stadium. You are talking about a brand that could pull people to the stadium years back, not too long ago. You know, so definitely the community interest in our game is horrible. If you look at our domestic league, it's even worse. People do not go to the stadium. What are we going to do about this? I don't believe, like you did say, I don't believe in talking or harping so much on about problems. But the thing about problems is that you need to understand them very well. So that when you are approaching them or trying to address them, you know where to go. You don't beat about the bush. Starting from I have a principle that I believe, I look at the football spectrum as a pyramid. At the base, we have the community level football where we have the younger ones, which we call coast football or academies or the juveniles playing. What do? We try to revive football at the local level. We try to revive our core system, put in place proper management and administrative structures to rejuvenate our games. Now, if you start creating excitement at that level, for example, you are here, Kokomlemle, Jowulu, Alaju, and the rest. There used to be quite a lot of very active coast teams here, Great Far Coast and the rest, some time back. You know, if you reactivated this kind of thing, not just in this area, but in many other places, almost all across the country. Of course, you make sure the geographical span is not too wide in order for them not to spend too much on transport and the rest. You start generating interest at the communities. Just try and go to any of the pitches when these young guys are playing. You see the number of people who come there. It tells you there's a certain desire still there, unmet desire. You know, so if the community accepts this kind of football where their own children or their own kids are playing, you are solving a lot of problems. You are assured of a generation of footballers flowing through the stream. You know, so in no time they will become the Stephen Appiahs, the Asamoah Gyangs, and the rest. And then also, if you have the situation where maybe after 2-3 years of perfect or good organization, we have some young boys growing up through the ranks. Maybe there will be one interesting goalkeeper called, let's say, Hussein Issa, playing for a coast team in Alaju. About 3 or 4 years after, you don't find where is Hussein. Then somebody tells you, Hussein is going to register for Ritemalo United. Then if Ritemalo United are coming to play at Accra Sports Stadium, definitely you can count on his family, his friends, and his fans over here going to watch what has become of their own child and kids. You know, so these are we go small, we go pragmatic, we don't go big or wholesale, so that we rekindle the interest at that level. If you did that, you'll be solving 2 problems. You are providing a stream of players to go through the chain. You are also having a situation where the community's interest in the game will be coming up, and then in no small time, you could see to quite a great extent football patronage for the senior level, the Division 1 and the rest will be improved in no small time, because the community really recognize the talents that are over there, and they would like to go there to watch them. regularly.
All right. So we'll do. Let me do some social media. I have some questions for you, Mr. Pappoe, concerning your time at the GFA. Yesterday, when I put I think this morning when I put the artwork on social media, one of the first questions that came was not even a question, was a comment. Was Kwesi Nyantakyi's protege, and I'm sure that you've heard this over and over again. We'll talk about that. But this person is texting us from Bolga. He says, "What makes him think he has what it takes to fix the problems bedeviling the GFA?"
Okay.
Do you want to answer that? Otherwise, I can go on with some other questions.
No, just go on.
Okay, so let's take this one. Gifty, thank you for bringing Pappoe to your studio. I can say without any fear or favor or ambiguity that he stands tall among his peers. He has my full support. Kindly ask him about his plans to improve infrastructure, especially football pitches. This is coming from Robert Coleman, CEO, Wembley Sports Complex. Mr. Pappoe, let me have you take those two, and then we'll see if we have time for more.
Okay, I think...
so the first one was what makes you think you have...
No, let me ask the protege question.
The protege thing is, people still see you as a part of the system that was considered...
And a lot more see me as not being a part of the system. A lot more see me as one who stepped out before the system started collapsing. Let me land with this so that you bring in the response.
Okay, all right. So people still see you as part of the system, and you've listed here how you've been extremely involved in the GFA for a very long time. Yeah. People still see you as part of that system which they consider rotten after all of the information that came out there. How do you convince voters, how do you convince the entire Ghanaian society that you cannot, you can be absolved of what happened as far as the GFA corruption, etc. issues were concerned?
Exactly. Thank you very much. I always make this, give this response. It's so simple. There was a 13-year period, 2005 to 2018. Now, interestingly, bad news sells. You know, the entire 13-year period was not a period bedeviled with corruption or bad news or hooliganism or low patronage of football. We are talking about a 13-year period that saw Ghana appearing at the World Cup for the first time. We are talking about a 13-year period that saw Ghana appearing at the World Cup for a second time. And Ghana performed during these two appearances extremely well by our own standards and then by world standards. We are talking about a period that saw Ghana winning the World Cup under 20. We are talking about a period that saw companies or corporate body rushing to come and associate themselves with the Ghana Football Association. We're talking about Vodafone, we're talking about Goldfield, so many other companies came on board to work with the FA. You know, so it's not entirely true that the period was a period of mess or a period of misfortune.
You know, usually it is how it ends that matters.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what's etched in the memories of
I get your point. Interestingly, there were 3 executive council terms during that period: 2005 to 2011, 2011 to 2015, 2015 to when it was dissolved. Interestingly, I was not part of the group that was dissolved. I had left. The reasons why I left, you have indicated already. You tried to allude to that, but then you didn't coin it well.
Wrap it up for us.
There were undercurrents. I think
we can't run away from it.
I think there were things I was seeing which I wasn't happy with.
Well, like what?
If you have a system where you go for a meeting and people come in with preconceived decisions or positions on an issue, and then you come in and you are talking, or the issue is being discussed, they will not talk about it. But then, when all of a sudden the issue is put to vote, they vote one particular way. And
why is that wrong?
Why is that wrong? If you are thinking a particular way, why won't you let your colleagues have the benefit of what you are thinking so that it will enrich the discourse?
So you say there wasn't openness? There
wasn't openness, there was cronyism. People were voting on issues simply because they felt or they had been told to vote a particular way.
You have proof of that?
I have proof of that. I was part of the executive committee during those times. It was getting to a point where a few of us were becoming like the bad notes or so, you know. So what was the point? So fortunately, when we came to the end of our tenure, I just had to step out. So what happened after that was just a matter of course. It didn't take me by surprise.
I see.
So if you have a system like that, the leader will not get the benefit of proper, genuine, and sincere advice.
And did you give your advice that was not taken, or did you look on and said, this is really frustrating, I'm out?
I didn't move out. I waited till the end. And I was doing what I had to do as an executive committee member. Other colleagues too were also doing what they had to do. There were people who were standing their guns and then were talking about you talk at the end of the day, you are outvoted. What do you do?
So nobody, the president at the time, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi, was there. You were there. Did you approach him and tell him that, look, this is what is happening? I think seriously about this. I have thoughts about this. I think we should do this so and so. And did he not receive your concerns?
It wasn't an issue to approach somebody to talk about. It was an issue which was out in the open. You know, so if you had a committee or a body which was divided at the middle, you know, what did you have to do?
What did you do? How did you deal with it whilst you were waiting for your term to end? How did you deal with it?
No, we kept contributing as members. So we kept contributing, making our views known, making our points known. Where we disagreed, we did. It was not all issues that went through that way. There were some that, of course, people had to bow to what we were saying because it was superior reasoning, you know. So those ones we did. But the bottom line is that you will not feel comfortable being part of a group where people come in with stereotype positions, where you get to know that the previous night or so they had gone to meet, a section of them had gone to meet and taken a decision to toe a certain line, you know. So damn whatever discussions were on the table, it was going to go one way or the other, you know.
Can you give us a specific example? Like one day when, like a specific situation where this actually happened?
I remember there was this issue about was it Capital Plus sponsorship or so, where there was a discussion about the fee paid to the agent or whatever it is, and then the fee proposed was a bit too high by the standards that we were used to.
How much are we talking about?
I think it was it 20% or 25% instead of 10 or 15. You know, so members were arguing left, right, center, but eventually
it was passed.
It was passed.
So the 25% or so.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was 20 or 20. Yeah.
And this frustrated you a lot.
It's frustrating, don't you think so? Because if you look at it, if you calculated what the agent got, it was going to be far more than what one club or so was getting. Two or three clubs combined was getting. You know? And
there weren't any avenues within, like structures within the GFA where you could make some of these complaints? And
exactly. There were no such structures. We didn't have a kind of appellate system. It wasn't a disparate case. It was the executive committee, and then therein lies one of the issues I'm trying to put up across in my manifesto. I would recommend the formation of a council of elders to be made up of past FHR presidents or vice presidents, and then other eminent Ghanaians who have roles to play. For example, in football, we've been blessed in Ghana football to have persons who have risen to the rank of Supreme Court judges or so, who have played a very active role in our. These are men leading traditional leaders. These are men that definitely the system will stand to benefit from if we brought them on board as a council. So that sometimes when issues like this arise, we could go to them for counsel and advice.
Okay.
Because as it stands now, per our structure, legally, beyond the executive committee or the executive council is Congress. And Congress, you are talking about 120 people. What kind of minute discussions can you take over there?
Okay, so there are structural problems you're looking to deal with. Well, this one question has actually led us to a very far place. So would you say you were frustrated out of the GFA?
I wasn't frustrated out, but I was frustrated whilst in the last.
And that informed your decision to go out?
Not to recontest.
Yes, so you were frustrated out.
Because there was nothing attractive about being in there. You know, you couldn't stomach those kind of heartaches.
Yeah, so it comes back to the point that you were frustrated out.
If you say frustrated, it's like I left out, I jumped boat.
So, but you would have loved to stay on the GFA, but
I would have loved to stay.
Exactly.
I would have loved to stay.
So you'd have been so you were frustrated out. Okay, let's talk about infrastructure.
Then
Robert Coleman asks a question. He actually gives you a lot of accolades, like a number of people have done, but he also says to ask you about your plans to improve infrastructure, especially football pitches.
You cannot develop football or seek to promote football without pitches or appropriate pitches, because it even affects the way players play. It's quite an important part, integral part of my manifesto, the development of pitches, both artificial and the natural pitches, as in depending upon local conditions. Now, how do I plan doing this? I think one way will be to forge a cooperation with private companies in this way. I think, fortunately, we have companies, quite a number of companies in Ghana, including Wembley also, quite a number who are doing a lot of good work around. We could go into an effective arrangement with them, and then a local bank or international bank where then the clubs also on one side. Well, of course, these are decisions that will be made after presenting to council and then discussing it thoroughly. But then, if we went into an arrangement with the banks, the service provider, in this case, any contracting company that has got the requisite capital in a transparent way. I'm not saying we are going to pick one company and then we will do it in the transparent way, open bidding process. And then we go into an arrangement where the banks will give us a facility, the clubs will take the facility, that will be used to provide the pitch or the infrastructure for them. Then we can work out a repayment plan. It could be part of that process. There could be the AstroTurfs, the pitches, they generate a lot of revenue. You have no idea. Go to Asamoah's pitch at Accra Academy, other pitches at Medina, Sukura and the rest. They are almost always in high demand. You know, so definitely these are self-sustaining. They can really pay themselves back. It's one approach that I'm going to use. And then just one last bit. There is a technology, interestingly, I found out we have that technology in Ghana now. This, what do you call it, AstroTurfs, could also be used as a source of storing water, rainwater.
I see.
It was used in South Africa successfully. It's been used when they had that water crisis. About 9 stadia were built. And then the water filters through this. So you can put tanks under that and provide water to the community, good potable drinking water, as well as water for farming and the rest. So in the rural communities, this could also be a multi-purpose thing. You know, so definitely these are a few of the ideas that I have with respect to infrastructure.
Well, Mr. Coleman, I hope that your question has been answered. And he's a very, he's an ardent viewer of the polls. Mr. Coleman, thank you very much for always watching the polls. Keep watching. This question says, what is your plan towards the Coast Games? That's the basic school games, second cycle school games, and the inter-college games. Will there be funding? I think that you've addressed this partially.
The coast, that's the coast. But then, okay, you just...
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
There's one bit, it was talking about inter-colleges, and then there's this thing about football. It's like a myth, where the moment a person starts progressing academically, you look at football as a competing vocation or a competing pastime. So you find very good footballers in the universities and the secondary schools and the rest who just do not pursue their footballing career or agenda because they want to concentrate on the books. One of my areas that I want to promote is to encourage schooling and playing of football at the secondary school level and then at the universities. We would encourage the formation of leagues along the same principle as we are doing with the coast football. So if there are a certain number of tertiary institutions, let's say Legon, we have Legon, UPSA, Wisconsin, and then the universities in that area, we could extend as far as to Accra Poly and the rest. They can engage in leagues all across the country so that players from those areas could also be considered for our national teams. That's
a very good place to come with my next question.
Okay.
And I urge you to kindly keep the answers brief so that we can take as many questions as possible.
That's right. Okay.
This one says, please find out from Mr. Pappoe how he will tackle and solve the corruption related to selection of players into the national team. And you've mentioned when we started the conversation your role with the Black Stars, which spanned, several years. So you are well versed with the issues as far as Black Stars is concerned.
Yeah.
This concern I've heard several times. People talk about how there is corruption, how people say allegedly pay to get into the national team, how people say they're playing very well. They know they're playing. Everybody is saying they're playing very well, but they never get selection to the national team. So the question is, how are you going to solve the corruption related to selection into the national team?
It's true. There's a huge credibility problem. When I was doing the analysis of the problem, especially with respect to coaching, credibility was one of the issues. Definitely the selection or the call-ups into the teams and then the selection of final players to go has always been tagged with some amount of doubts or credibility issues. What we will do is this. If a team, as things stand now, most of the time you realize that the coaches are on their own. We have a technical directorate which is not so functional. So the coaches are not under any strict form of supervision, as it were.
So they choose who to play?
They are at liberty to choose who to play, influenced by whatever parameter. Not all coaches, some of them.
But I mean, that's the structure. The structure is that a coach, so if I'm a coach, I can just look at Pappoe and say, Pappoe, you are playing well. Even if Pappoe is not playing well.
You can do that because they are like lords unto themselves. And it's become worse in this last period of the normalization. They are under no form of supervision. I remember quite clearly when I was at the FA, when we were at the FA then, we had a system where coaches were accountable to the executive committee. You will come to a meeting and come and defend and explain every single choice you've made.
How was that removed from the system?
I don't know how it was removed, but I just realized that the problem had become worse. So it could be that people were not
So it's
really
become worse recently.
Oh yeah, especially in the normalization. I don't blame them, but with the normalization, there are no management committees. So the coaches are lost onto themselves. And you can see clearly in most of the matches that they play. Look at the under-20 when they went recently. It was quite bad. Even preparations and planning was very horrible. So but the point is that supervision, oversight responsibility will be strengthened. So that the coaches will not operate as if they are lost onto themselves.
Okay, well, the person who sent that question, I hope your question has been answered. But you mentioned how the under-20s went to play and didn't really play well. Well, this question says, good afternoon, Gifty. I'm Makante Matthew in Prangpru West. I want to find out from Mr. Pappoe, what is he going to do this time differently in case he wins the elections to ensure that Ghana Black Stars do not just participate in AFCON, but goes to win in 2021?
That is a very interesting question. I think winning in 2021 is very possible, but to do that you have to start now. You cannot. We always suffer from this problem where the moment we get somewhere we want to win. Meanwhile, we've not done the necessary things we have to do. Looking at monitoring of players, scouting of players, call-ups of players, programs for the players, and then also ensuring that there's a high level of discipline and focus when the players are in camp. Some of the things we see, they are not the kind of things that we know to a team going to win any trophy.
For example?
You see the behavior of some of the players, the kind of things you are, like players playing music with barbers in their rooms at 2 a.m. and the rest on the eve of matches.
Oh, is that what happened? And on the eve of the
it's normal. It's in recent times, and there was total breakdown of discipline.
Oh, okay.
So those are things that, and these are very minute. If you are talking about managing the team to go and win any event or so, these are very minute details that you must pay close attention to, because if you do not do so, the painful thing about football is that you could spend $6 million or $5 million to take a team to a tournament, but if somebody reneges on a small responsibility at a particular corner, it could be nutrition, the entire team loses, and then you would have wasted everything. So you must pay close attention to every aspect. Okay,
we need to wrap up, but perhaps I'll be able to take maybe 2 or 3 more questions, and then we call it a wrap. Good evening, Mr. Nuruddin. I'm Nuruddin Maulaya from Hohoe, Volta region. We love Pappoe so much, but it's like Volta Hohoe has been neglected in most football programs in Ghana. We have a lot of talent in Hohoe. Please, we want him to come to Hohoe and we will tell him our problem. Good luck to him, but he should inform us when he is coming to Volta. So let's deal with that, and then I'll take 1 last or 2, then we wrap up.
Okay. I think thanks so much, Mr. Nuruddin, for the show of support. Definitely, as part of my agenda, you were asking me about the campaign strategy. Yeah. I plan doing a one-on-one by visiting all the regions. I've been to 2 already. Volta is part of the scheme, and then I'll make it a point to look out for Mr. Nuruddin when I get to Hawaii. But I'll be liaising with their leaders, the RFAs, and then the clubs in those areas for him to see me. I'll definitely be there. Not just Volta, but all throughout the country.
All throughout the country. Someone has actually asked a question about juvenile football, but I think you've spoken about that, so we'll call it a wrap. Mr. Pappoe, what would you do new if given the opportunity, since you have been there before? I think I've asked this question as well. Just so we get as many, because we get like, if not thousands,
really?
Hundreds of questions. Yes. Good afternoon, Madam Gifty, and your guest. Please, I want you to ask him for me that how is he going to make sure there will not be corruption in the GFA anymore? Rudolph from the Central Region. Rudolph is my final message, but thank you so much if you sent a message. Certainly, I'm sure that the things that he has said covers the questions that you've asked. Unfortunately, I can't take it all. So, corruption in the GFA, tell us.
I did indicate in our statutes, we have very clear rules and regulations. We've had a lot of audit reports and comments with respect to strengthening our internal audit structures and the rest. I think certain systems, financial management systems in the FA, would need to be strengthened. We should lift our game up when it comes to financial management and things like the FA to a level that is very appreciable. I've had the opportunity of working in institutions where accounting standards, transparency standards, accountability standards, transparency standards are extremely high. There are quite a lot of lessons that I can bring to bear from this onto our system. I believe that is at the heart of the corruption issue, whether perceived or real. And these are things we have to do.
I did say that was my final question, but I've seen this question that I want to take, Mr. Pappoe. He says, it's coming from Sapong from Nkranza, Evans Kwabena Sapong from Nkranza, Bono East region. He says, please, I want to ask Mr. Pappoe to ask him that, is the alleged Senegal match case about him taking some amount of money to himself true or not?
That's right.
And why was he so quiet about Ghana football after he was no more the GFA vice president? Also, his plans to curb player exodus in Ghana football. I think the player bit, he's spoken a bit about it, but is it true? Senegal match?
It's very good. I'm quite happy. I've even forgotten about it. There's this thing about somebody spewing news up there about me having collected 300,000 for a match with Senegal. Senegal, 300,000. Even Brazil was not paying that much to play Ghana. We didn't get that much to play England. That was totally outrageous. I never handled money when I was at the FA. Even the entire period I didn't even sign a single contract. This Senegal match they are talking about, I do not even think the FA was paid any money for that. Okay. It was one of the matches that the FA final. So I heard it and I just laughed it over. But my lawyer advised that he's going to take it up. Okay. I believe they are working on it. I would encourage whoever it is who has got it to send whatever documents or supporting this into the vetting committee tomorrow. Okay.
Mr. Pappoe, what we usually do is at 30 seconds for you to wrap your message up, tell people, the GFA delegates, why they should vote for Pappoe.
Thanks so much for this opportunity to use your esteemed platform. I think my message is quite simple. I believe I've been there before, and quite a number of people who are going to vote know me, what I did, what I achieved during the period I was there, and what I stood for. And I believe more importantly, at this stage, as per the journey we are going to commit ourselves to, the turbulence that is across the way, the second life we've gotten, we need somebody with very great calmness, with intellect, with knowledge, with humility, a team player and a unifier to lead the process, because this is going to be a very serious journey and we cannot afford to take any chances or take any risk. Definitely, there are quite a lot of very good ideas that I have, but I think the most important thing is for the delegates who happen to know me to just vote according to that, because for sure we can achieve what we want to achieve, but then we need the right people to do that. Thanks so much.
We need the right people to do that. Fred Pappoe says he is the right candidate for the Ghana Football Association. Do you believe him? Do you think that he's made himself, he's convinced you enough to vote for him? Well, it's up to you. But thank you so much, Mr. Pappoe, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much.
Fred Pappoe there, he's one of 7 candidates who say they want to make the Ghana Football Association great again.